Hi there, this is Dr. Tammi Stewart from PT2Excel to talk about stretching. So, to stretch or not to stretch? That's the question. I get asked this all the time. So, the short version is, if it's truly tight, stretch it. If it's not, don't. So how do you know if you're truly tight? So, for instance, I work a lot with my hands. So I feel some tightness through here, but it's not actually tight. See, I have really good wrist range of motion. Elbow bent, elbow straight, doesn't matter. I'm really bendy in my wrist. So stretching is not the best choice for me. Massage is the best choice for me to get those things calmed down and relaxed. But before I go and lift in the gym, if I'm doing barbell work especially, and I'm gonna do an overhead lift, like an overhead squat or snatch or whatever, I'm not gonna stretch my wrists because my joints tend to be a little unstable. So if I stretch something that already moves a little too much, that's a recipe for disaster. So I don't want to just lose my wrists in an overhead lift and then injure them. So I don't stretch my wrists before I lift. However, I will massage them afterwards because all of this tends to get really tight. Feel really tight. It's not actually tight because it's not inhibiting my range of motion. But for somebody who goes to stretch and like, this is what I have, and they're like stuck here, it's like, okay, you are restricted. If you can't get past that 90 degrees right angle here, then yeah, by all means, stretch. And especially if you're that body that looks like a bunch of boulders stacked on top of it and you're just like so stiff and so stable, you're the person who needs to stretch a lot, especially before you're lifting, because you're really, really stable, but you're not really flexible by nature. Those are the people who need to stretch the most. The people who are super flexible by nature are the people who don't need to stretch. And if your tissues feel tight, if your muscles feel tight, they probably would benefit a lot more from massage rather than stretching, because you don't want to stretch something that's already extra flexible because then you make it unstable. If you're really tight, you definitely want to stretch. Now, and this doesn't have to be like head to toe, like my body tends to be bendy so I don't need to stretch. It's kind of area specific. So for me, my wrists are really bendy, but my mid back is really stiff at times. So before I overhead lift, I want to make sure that I can open my back up. So that's what I concentrate on. I mobilize my back. I stretch my upper and middle back before I overhead lift. I don't stretch my wrists. But for somebody who is really, really mobile in their shoulders, but really, really stiff in their wrists, that's the person who needs to stretch their wrists before lifting. So it's joint specific, but it's also body type. So if you tend to be stiff generally, and you're stiff pretty much everywhere, stretch all the things. Green light, stretch all the things. If you are kind of extra mobile in some areas, but kind of stiff in others, focus on stretching the stiff places. If you're just super bendy and you're just like elastic person, then don't focus on stretching. You need to focus on strengthening and stability. So, and if your muscles in that case feel tight to you, they're trying really hard to stabilize those unstable joints. Give them a rest, massage it out, but don't focus on the stretching, because if you're already overstretched and you're already a bit unstable and too flexible, you're just going to make it worse if you do a lot of stretching. So hopefully that answers the stretch, not to stretch question. If you have any other questions or you want more details, feel free to reach out, comment. Reach out to us on all the socials. We're on, YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, and feel free to reach out directly. Like, subscribe, share, all the things. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks.